Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the proud owner of a barracks more than halfway across the map in the blue. It's Team Liquid's Clem. And a hop, skip, and a Reaper jump away, we find the base of the mysterious MaxPax. A best-of-5 Terran versus Protoss finals. And because the Frenchman already is bringing his hand-selected cheese, that gives me very little time to beg you to like, and if you haven't made it there yet, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? About 350. 1,350 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I would do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Concussive Shell Marauder Proxy. You filthy, filthy Terran. The most disgusting yet predictable cheese to start things off. It will be Clem opening it up. MaxPax has progressed from being just the name of a build order to one of the best macro Protosses out there. And if anyone can defend, and if anyone has more experience, I'd be very surprised in dealing with Clem's aggression. But those Marines are coming across the map for a reason. The shield battery starts a second pylon behind, and I think MaxPax has an idea of what he's dealing with, but it's already too late. The Adept gets caught, bunker slapped down, and Clem starts things off. Two Marauders trundling in, Marines joining up. SCV will be taken out. The probe's pulled off the line. He's trying to buy as much time as possible. He needs to get those shield batteries done. First Adept targets down one of the Marines. Two Adepts versus two Marauders in a surprisingly long-winded fight. The shield battery is going to add a little bit more wind into MaxPax's sails as well. Only 4 probes dead, and 2 shield batteries looks like the number to deal with this. But Clem is not done, continuing to rally Marauders across the field, and a Cyclone in production as well means he's not going to be ending with this initial aggression, but it's just an appetizer, and the second course is coming soon. Marauder micros back. Every unit precious. Shield battery's out of energy, but Overcharge is ready. Picks off another Marauder. He's really holding on. Oh, it's just... He waited just a split second too long. And as they say, if you do not use it, you're very likely to lose it. And that Stalker, feeling the price of that, wants to wait till the last possible moment on Overcharge. Even bringing a single probe out and then trying to keep it alive, and that may buy enough time to kill that last Marauder. Yes, we're still battling. More Marines rallied in. The Cyclone shows up. The Marauders, with barely a quarter Marauder of HP between them. Concussive Shells hits yet another Stalker and the shield battery. Able to put everything back together. And it looks like, finally, well, the Stalker locks on, gets the last shot. Another Marauder coming in. We're not done yet. Here comes Clem. That last Marauder, and the shield battery's regenerating just enough energy for the Stalkers to sip some shields off of them. Tries to get one more. Gets the Stalker, and the aggression will continue until morale improves or all the Terrans are dead. But another Cyclone is rallied across. Scooby-Doo style back and forth. Another Marauder's coming in, and he finally lifts the barracks and will send it home. And 5 minutes in, we get to start the game. Blink is done. MaxPax actually managed to get a 10-worker lead, a third base, Blink completed, a robo, and a new the Marauders picked off on the way across the map. But MaxPax is in... Well, he's got almost everything going for him. 2 Cyclones and a handful of Marines means it's unlikely that MaxPax will break through with these initial Stalkers, but just compounding his advantage. Cyclones pick off 1. They do a lot of damage to the Stalkers themselves. But in just having them in the first place, well, it's already a very comfortable position for the Danish Protoss. Clem threw everything at him. But MaxPax held possibly the cleanest I've ever seen anyone hold an unscouted Marauder push like that. And Clem intentionally hiding it. Waiting until the second Marauder, not trying to get that little advantage, but instead as much as possible. But MaxPax recognized it immediately. A couple more seconds on the shield battery, any one of them, and it very well could have run him over. Just one extra Marauder could make all the difference. But now, MaxPax with a solid 3 bases. He's got 56 probes. Charge on the way. Spots the Raven on the way out. And the Stalkers moving to intercept. Clem has to know this is a possibility. Probability, even. One of the Stalkers, the tech lab itself is scouting. Oh, but the Raven, 1, 2, and 1 more volley. Nevermore, Clem. Raven goes down, and the Forge is nearly complete. MaxPax doing everything right and then some. Clem still has enough to build up. It's gonna just have to be a 2-base time. He doesn't have a 3rd command. Could you let me finish my sentence, please? 3rd command center just started. 6 more gates for MaxPax, who already has the 3-base economy. But Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs, the most dangerous letter in the StarCraft alphabet, possibly besides and in addition to G. So, few other things end a game so quickly. Oh. Back at home, Templar Archives, MaxPax 67 probes. He has all the gates. If Clem can drag it out to the full 3-base with Ghosts and Vikings, then he's looking okay. But MaxPax will almost certainly have the army supply. And right now, the supplies are as close as they're ever going to get. Clem with actually more army supply, but that's because the gateways are just now kicking in for MaxPax. So we should be able to maintain. Oh, but he's setting up a flank to sandwich the Blink Stalkers, and without him, that gives so much more mobility. MaxPax will blink away, but the jaws of Terran are closing. He waits for the second blink. MaxPax tries to escape, but there's literally nowhere to run. And wow, a beautiful catch, and not even a chance at release for those Blink Stalkers. Clem executes them. And now, as a real opportunity to break through, MaxPax, who he's built a 4th, he's gotten so much stuff that isn't directly army units. This is barely any units at all. The force fields are optimistic at best, sad at worst. And the bio army juggles back in Archon, but it's just 2 Colossi. He has siege tanks on the back. He's just healing through. MaxPax has to buy himself some time here. He's got the Archon still. There's only a single tank, but that... the Sentry is saved from the Widow Mine just to die to the bio. The Colossi, you could only fit 1 in the Warp Prism at a time. And juggling them out is not going to be enough. As MaxPax actually underbuilt units, and he has so many gates. The Nexus, Stutter Step, Marauders. And he gets it. The Medevacs will pick up. Juke and jive back and forth. Don't know where they want to go, but there's no anti-air to deal with it right now. All the Stalkers were cleared off the field before the fight. Clem getting a surprising amount of damage done. But at the end of the day, MaxPax still has the economy, the production. He loses the Nexus, but that's relatively cheap compared to building half a dozen gateways, forges, all of that. And he doesn't really need it, at least for a little while longer. Oh, but there's no vision on the edge. I thought he was going to warp in another round, but he just goes for it. Into the main. There are Vikings on the way. They're not done yet. Has to pick up some of his units, get back to the main. More SCVs will die. And the War Prism is ready to bring in another round as MaxPax moves forward. Just eats a Widowmine hit. There is nothing but a handful of bio units here to defend. And I can't see... Yeah, G. MaxPax takes game 1 after a top-tier defense and then a shoestring follow-up. But his economy carries him through. The advantages are enough, and Clem unable to wriggle his way out of it. At least in game number 1. God, the most obvious yet disgusting. All it takes is one literal misstep to lose to that build. Because you take one step too far in the concussive shell Marauders before you get blank, you're dead. Alright? You might as well fight because those Marauders are not letting you go. They can get the attacks off before the concussive shell effect runs out. Oh, Clem. Oh, Clem. Oh, Clement, which is his name. Here I introduce the proud owner of a barracks far more than halfway across the map. Team Liquid's Clem. And a hop skip, and more relevantly, this time, a Reaper jump away. The Danish Protoss MaxPax. So this time it's just a Reaper proxy. As we go through the spread of things you can do with early game Terran. Though we don't have enough games in this series to cover the full range of that. The probe inside the house actually locks it in with the supply depot, which is a little suspicious in and of itself. Though I guess it is the timing for it. Reaper. Stalker will be the choice, and that means one probe dead. No Reaper wall, because there are actually 2 Reaper entrances on this map. So the Reaper wall, well, it's just not going to happen. Stalker nearly completed. MaxPax minimizing damage quite well. Maneuvering those probes. Gonna lose a second one, but it could have been much worse. And then it's concussive shell marauder. Aha! Surprise! Didn't expect my next trick, which is the same trick as last time. But where did the lighter fluid come from? Illusions. Hallucinations, Mike. Stargate on the... You know, I think it's gonna work. Oh, no. Because it'd be so dumb. Like, this is one of those 20 IQ plays that is so low on the scale, it rolls back around to being genius. Alright? The Forrest Gumpian school of Terran strategy, where it appears Clem is drawing inspiration from as, surprise! Concussive shell marauders! And the shield battery may die. And MaxPax really thought he was dealing with a relatively normal follow-up. But here comes a Hellion. The shield battery itself, it's just gonna die. He takes it out, and the Stalker didn't get away. And... well, probes are not the ideal counter to Marauders and Hellions. You can write that down somewhere. And Clem takes game 2 in 3 times the speed. Well, huh. So, where does that leave us? Because now, Clem has failed and succeeded in going concussive shell marauder. So that's quite an open question going into game 3 for MaxPax. I think you just probe scout like the beginning of the game. You just off of pylon. But it doesn't appear he's falling prey to that. Site Delta, game 3. I would not be ecstatic about losing to that, especially considering game 1. Clem, growing up watching Maru, who, well, isn't much older than him, but there was a time when Maru's normal build order flowchart was, when should you proxy Rex? And that included the beginning of a series, the end of a series, when you just won a game, and also usually when you just lost a game. So, but this time around, Clem going with a bit more. Oh, and it's a Marine, and he already took enough damage. The probe, slight sidestep is enough to get him away from that angsty Marine. And it will survive. Good for the probe. And seeing the Marine in the first place. A Marine? Now, here's another thing you can write down on your stone tablet or whatever. Not a Reaper. Okay. So, when you see that Marine first... I'm sorry. When you see that Marine first, that means there's no Reaper coming across the map. Or it's less likely. It's not completely out of the question. Especially how Clem's been playing. But I think MaxPax... well, there's no Reaper coming across the map. He's able to follow that basic logic. So he's just gonna go for a gate proxy here. No, not the MaxPax build, but instead just walking up with a bunch of gate units. Yeah, 3 gates. Bunch of stalkers, probably. And trying to do exactly... okay, not exactly, but the same idea of what Clem just did to him, which is, oh, you didn't expect this many units to show up at your front doorstep. And ideally win the game immediately afterwards. Clem is going for a Cyclone. He's got a third CC, though, so the StarCrafts are aligning right now for MaxPax. Having 5 or 6 Stalkers should be enough. He spots the Cyclone. The ideal here would be a Hellion for him to deal with. Oh no, the Cyclone gets the Adept. Shouldn't be able to kill it before the Shade, but it's damn close. Ooh. Literally one hit. More Stalkers warped in. Going to try to intercept. He's got to make a big decision about the Cyclone. Does he try to catch it out and risk Clem having more units to defend? Or does he hit him as soon as possible with these first Stalkers? A weird amount of Adept shading in. He actually holds the third one back to maintain the illusion. Oh my god, it works so well! He showed the Adepts, and now Clem is convinced it's a Stargate. But surprise! Here come the Stalkers! The Marines are on the wrong side! I can't believe that was the most grandmasterful bait I've seen in such... Wow! It worked perfectly, and then some. It maybe even too well, as now the Marines are coming down. He didn't even bother with the bunker because it had no Marines in it. He gets 10 SCVs. Wait, the Adepts got into the main. Clem drops a very optimistic mule. And the Adept shade to the natural. Maybe get one more SCV? Not quite. Oh, one more. Wow. So he sent the Adept shades. And when you see those Adept shades, usually more than one Adept means Stargate. So, MaxPax showed him exactly what he wanted to see. And he pulled this shade right over his eyes. And that is why Clem completely retreated. He just fell prey to the same sort of mind game that Clem himself pulled. But for MaxPax, he didn't quite have that killing potential. It wasn't nearly as early on as Clem's attack. So here we are. Blink is not done, which means the Stalkers are running out of real estate. Literally cornered against the edge of the map. Microing back now. May lose one more in this exchange. Great micro from MaxPax, using all of the shields. And, wow, emotionally a significant victory. And honestly, almost embarrassing there. He got played so hard. I've not seen such an obvious display of misdirection, but it just wasn't enough damage to really follow up. Now there is Blink done, but Marauders are already on the field. Even though there's no stim, those Marauders represent quite a threat against the Stalkers, doing more than enough damage to force them back. And MaxPax is headed for the Templar Archives as well as Charge. Will it be Storm? Or are we going to see just a bunch of Archons in an attempt at a hit? Does he have a Robo? He does. So if he builds a Warp Prism, it's an attack timing. If he builds Storm, it could still be an attack timing, just less... Oh, there's already a Prism. Well, I'm behind the times. MaxPax is streets ahead. 4 Stalkers and a Prism. Doing their best to cosplay a Liberator. Taking out those SCVs. And darting back into the dead space at the edge of the map. Meanwhile, the Bio Army's chasing down the Stalkers on the field, though. And 2 of them gonna be picked off. Clem's still very dangerous at this stage. The Storm could wash him off the map. But if he manages to avoid the first wave of it, well, things get a bit more complicated. Because now, Clem's going to have Medivacs. He's got Stim. Combat shield. His +1 is actually significantly later. I think all the shenanigans early have certainly cut into his timing, but he did get that 3rd CC very quickly. And that means the SCV count has recovered, and mules are going to put him about even economically. MaxPax with a slight edge there, especially when all the SCVs were pulled. The Storm The Storm Templar are loaded into the prism. Right now, Clem has no reason to suspect that Templar are out. That first wave of storms need to be devastating because Clem is building up that bio-army. MaxPax doesn't even have upgrades himself. He doesn't have +1 ground attack. He really, he needs to soften up the army. Let the charge lots do their work. Oh, a big storm and another one! And, well, one more for the road. I think that was enough. It's just Marauders left over. The Medivacs doing their best, but another wave of charge lots is warped in and chasing him down. 18 SCVs dead simultaneously. 21, 25. Even Terrans can't recover from that sort of damage. Gets one more feedback on the way out. Throws some water balloons. The last Templar will be taken out. But Clem has taken critical economic damage. And now, at this point, he's pretty much all in. He picks up into the Medivacs. Only 2 Stalkers to match him. Forced to drop out, otherwise take heavy losses. The Warp, oof. The Widowmine, another Medivac, though. His army is strung out. There should be enough. At least warped in back at home for MaxPax to defend. And there just isn't enough for Clem at his base. +1 ground weapons about to complete the Stalkers, microing away. GG, though. Clem, bamboozled by MaxPax, gets a bit of a taste of his own medicine. And MaxPax asks him, how does it taste? I literally don't know. I'm a Protoss. I don't have a mouth. But these storms, the only storms from those first 3 Templar, more than enough to break the defense. And that means MaxPax up 2-1. Match point, going into Alcyone. Oh, that, I gotta say, after seeing that Concussive Shell Marauder game, that was a beautiful turnaround. One of those strategies that only works against good players. If Clem wasn't such a smart player himself, then he'd be like, oh, free adepts, as opposed to, oh, it's an Oracle build. I mean, it's not a huge reach to realize it's Oracles, or supposed to look like it, but still. It takes that split-second reaction. Macarex. Named after the player Maca, who, despite not playing for very long, invented the crazy strategy of pretending to proxy by just putting your barracks slightly outside your base and getting your opponent to panic. And I think in the grand scheme of things here, with how this series has gone, and the mind games that have been pulled, this is a genius middle ground from Clem. Realizing that MaxPax will have to respect this sort of aggression. Or, wait, did he just? Yeah, now he's going to know based on the Reaper timing it was a Macarex. But the Zealot is done. And building a Zealot at all slows down the rest of the economy. Not by a large margin, but a Zealot not known for its ability to chase down Reapers, or really anything at all, as it's one of the slowest units until it gets its upgrade. If the Zealot is able to delay the command center, though, which is unlikely, because another Reaper on the way, so probably not. But there's not much more use for it here. There are no concussive... Well, he's like 80% sure there are no concussive Shell Marauders on the way, and Clem didn't even notice the Zealot. Oh, he wasn't looking at the minimap. He's busy microing on the other side, and that means the command center will be delayed. He had an opportunity to potentially take out that Zealot, or at least pull the SCV, but here we are. Oh, thought he might leave the door open for him. Doesn't quite work out. Zealot will angrily stalk forward like a horror movie villain. I think I've seen this carve-out episode. And now 2 Stalkers, and here we go. Technically, 2 Stalkers should be enough. But those are Clem Reapers, and there's a Widowmine to make things more difficult. MaxPax decides to commit. And now he's trapped. There is no blink on the way. Those Stalkers are not getting out. But they've gotten in, so now what? The SCV going to repair the Hellion. Down goes 1 Stalker. This ragtag band of meddling Terrans. The grenade bounces Marines and Stalkers alike. Goes for the SCV. But Clem, well, he's only lost 1 Reaper, 2 SCVs, and a Marine for 2 Stalkers and a Hellion. I'm sorry. 2 Stalkers and a Zealot. All 100 mineral units look alike to me. It's like, but they're completely different. I'm also blind. Shout out to my blind viewers. Kind of have to. Hellion almost taken down, but Stalkers do even less damage than most people think. And that Hellion lives with 1 HP. Here comes Clem with whatever he could jam into a medevac, and everyone else has to walk, or drive, or various means, or jetpack. It's a lot of different things. Anyways, dropping out the Marine Cyclone as well. And suddenly these probes not having a particularly great time. We don't mind burrows at the natural. May sacrifice a probe for it. But in the main base, the Cyclone just kind of working its way through the shield battery. Out of energy. Does he have energy for an overcharge? Technically, yes, but the Stalker dies a bit late on the overcharge. And he's just going to target the battery itself. Blink is nearly complete, but nearly doesn't count. Finally gets it. He drops back in, not intimidated by the Stalkers at all. And takes out yet another Clem, making so much happen with just these first units before Blink even completed, which is kind of the key point of this whole strategy. More damage in the main. Clem now has the worker lead with no counter damage in sight. Cyclone looking to lock on. Finally does so. Marine. All right, it's all cleaned up. 39 to 38 workers, though. The Marines. How much is back at home day? He's got 2 tanks, which should be more than enough to put together a defense. Oh, no! And when you thought it was over, the Liberator sieges up at the natural, and that's going to anchor several more Stalkers back. We just target the Stalkers? Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, wow. Oh, he actually dodged a Liberator hit, which is kind of crazy. Those projectiles go incredibly fast. The Protoss could learn something from them. Like repairing their units. No, we're too proud for that. Four Stalkers into the prism, but MaxPax is hamstrung. And he's got no legs upgrade in production. They charge too much for it. Gonna pick off some SCVs. Doing a great job so far. He really needs to make a lot of progress here. And he is doing so. Siege tank now. No. Is there a Viking? No. Wait, is there a starport? Yeah, yes. Sometimes these Terrans nowadays a bit stingy with the starport in favor of doing like a tank timing, but Clem has a comfortable enough economy. He's doing fine. And oh my, that's like all the Stalkers come together. The whole cast. And they're jammed into the corner of the base menacingly and then blink out as the Marauder count is just too damn high. Observer spots everything, but make no mistake, this is MaxPax trying to slow down the freight train. As he knows Clem is bringing the army together. The triple threat is going to be complete. He's going to have combat shield, +1, medevacs, and plenty of bio underneath. So, the timer is ticking down for MaxPax to do anything to blunt the effect of this attack. And buy himself time to get his third base, charge, and +1 is kind of a distant dream. Any units he can pick off here would be huge. Actually, I don't know what happened to the other one. You shoot his own Marauder? Maybe. Actually, yes. Clem killed both of his units. I don't know how that happened, but picking off more. The Marines at the back, though. 13 probes. Force Field is a spell you can cast, though probably shouldn't. 14 probes dead to a single Marine drop, as MaxPax's efforts were entirely focused on the Blink Stalkers. A single Marine drop able to gut the economy yet again, and he gets out with it. The Stalkers come in for revenge. He almost kills one of them, but just when MaxPax was finding his way back onto his feet, Clem sweeps it out from under him again. Warp Prism loaded up with charge slots. He's going to need a lot of time now, even more than before. There's nothing else in production for MaxPax, just the upgrades. He has no Robo Bay, no Templar Archives. He's effectively all in. He's down 15 workers, but the army supplies are about even. Gonna try to jump onto the siege tanks. Gets one. Guardian Shield. Charge lots coming in from the north side, mitigating the damage from the tanks. SCVs are pulled off the line. Immortal shows up to the party, kind of unannounced, and will be taken out. The Guardian Shield is helpful, but it's not enough. Picks off another medevac. Stalkers are forced back as the Stim Marines outrun the charge lots. And the Stalkers, it's not enough. Clem did the damage he needed to do. And that brings us to Game 5. The ace match. Well, MaxPax trying and failing to get the counter damage. Clem hitting him before anything gets going. MaxPax tried to get the Stalkers in. I think that ended up being a mistake. The Mako Rex throwing him off, and then the Reaper Hellion throwing him out. But we're going into possibly the most interesting map in this matchup for the final match. Amphion. Our scrap station type. And yes, well, if you know what I meant by scrap station type, congratulations. You're significantly older than Clem. Actually, I think Clem started playing when StarCraft 2 came out, so he may remember it as well from his elementary school years. There you go. Now. The probe scouted quite early. He gets a beat on the barracks timing, as is so critical. And I have no insights to draw from these games. Not a single game thus far has either player really gotten that close to maxing out. Or even paxing out. So, Amphion is our most unique map. You have the close air distances, you have mineral walls, you have an explicit little, somebody cut the barbed wire fence so the Reaper can jump up and then put a little indicator indicating that the Reaper can jump up there. And then you have the Terrans Vespine gaslight you into saying, no, that's actually a Colossus defense location. Okay, bro, you think you can fit a Colossus? I'm pretty sure you can't. Anyways, the Reaper surreptitiously jumps down like it does everything. And MaxPax is going to lean into the map by going Stargate and really try to work that air distance. But, well, we'll see. As the Stargate, it's such a brittle choice in this matchup. The fake Stargate, where you pretend like you're going Stargate, has been the most successful so far. We haven't seen anyone actually finish. He was going Stargate on Crimson Court, but then promptly died to concussive shell marauders before a single Stargate unit could complete. Clem embracing his inner Beyond, his spiritual father, in 3cc before doing much more than building a handful of Marines and a Cyclone. 2 command centers in production. No respect for those Stalkers in the depths. Not when a Cyclone's on the field, which can effectively counter both. The not-so-hallucinated Phoenix on its way across. We'll be taking a good look at everything Clem's doing. But for many of the same reasons that it's so dangerous in the air, it's defensible on the ground. The rush distance is dramatic between the bases. Usually the only exchanges are the very early game and then air control. Because there's only a single ramp and some choke points that are easily held by force fields or just high ground advantage, siege tanks, and the like. Robo on the way. Looks like mech toss to start things out. The Phoenixes darting in. Enough to potentially kill a Cyclone. Picks it up, drops it down, breaks the lock, chastises it, and sends it on. You know, I give up. You're grounded. the Phoenix said after dropping it. There. Slight recovery. Send it on its way. That's what I... Sends it on its... We'll circle back. Speaking of the Phoenixes. One of the mules, Marines, will damage it, but the Phoenixes come back around for more, pick off a couple. No Whittle Mines, so... Wait, there are no Whittle Mines. Even when I see no Whittle Mines on the Units tab, I don't feel like I can trust it. And we have perfect vision here from the Observer cam. The amount of times I've even been surprised by a Whittle Mine popping up from like underneath a barracks or behind the orbital command dish is too damn high. Even with the fancy new laser. MaxPax taking his third on the inner base here at the pocket. Past the mineral wall. Really leaning into that air control. Something, well, it has clear vulnerabilities, those being ghosts, much like much of the rest of Protoss, but Phoenixes also don't trade incredibly well in smaller battles with Vikings. Technically, pound for pound, if you just A-move them in the unit tester, the Phoenixes will beat the Vikings with similar upgrades. But Vikings can be repaired, and rarely are they fighting on their own. Whereas the Phoenixes are brittle creatures. Drops out with a probe. Bit suspicious there was a probe there at all, which I think gives away exactly what MaxPax is angling for. He's moving into position, but the Marines have already stemmed forward. Pick off a couple of the probes, and now working on the bioarmy. The Colossus has hit the field. Gets the battery, and before anyone can say anything about it, we'll retreat and back to his side of the map. Marines zoning out the Phoenixes. Oh, the Colossus trying to step up to the plate. And he picks up enough Marines. Drops them back down where they're incinerated. But another group of Marines. And the supplies are even, and it looks like we may have something resembling a macro game here for the very first time in our very final game. Assuming it's not a draw, but either way, we'll play it on this map again, so. A triple drop sent out. Picks up the Whittle Mine, giving away the fact there's an observer nearby. It's up to Clem to figure out where. Probably trying to save up a scan, but I think he's just dropped mules on all of his bases, indeed. The triple drop was not scouted, but he does have a probe on patrol looking for exactly this. Phoenix is in towards the main, pick up one of the Marauders. But the triple, Whittle Mine slams into a Phoenix. And now Clem trying to come up the ramp and finds 3 Colossi with their lances fully extended and thermally enhanced. There to greet him, which, is certainly a welcome party, but in Clem's mind, probably a bit unwelcome. Observer spotted. Clem hedging his bets. Command Center number 4 in production. MaxPax expanding to the mixed gold base at the 9 o'clock. Really working his way towards Clem with the expansions. Trying to keep his bases a lot more consolidated. Phoenix caught. Whittle Mine barely dodged. Ghosts and Vikings in production. The Whittle Mine again splits it off, sacrifices the Phoenix, and the Viking count starting to grow. Armory just now on the way for Clem, quite late in the grand scheme of things, but he's focused more on unit composition than anything else, making sure he has the right units together in a timely fashion, because those EMPs are possibly the most effective single thing he can be adding into the army right now, much more than any single upgrade. Warp Prism moving into position. Spylon's right outside of Clem's base. His only sensor tower is near the 3rd. An observer over the top will spot pretty much everything. And now, the main army. 3 Colossi, 7 Phoenixes. Disruptors now joining production. Second Robo has begun. The Warp Prism's loaded up, and MaxPax is ready to start trying to pull Clem apart. The sensor tower will spot the Warp Prism moving in. There's Widow Mines on either side. And Widow Mine, only the splash damage hits, which means this Warp-In will go through. Reinforcements on the way back. He will delay the production of additional barracks, trying to fight on the field, but the EMPs soften up the Archon. 7 SCVs, 8 SCVs dead to the charge lots. But the Ghosts and the Marines will be enough on defense, though a couple of them will be cut down. And any sort of Ghost kills at this stage are quite a victory for just charge lots. MaxPax at 76 probes. He's mining from the 9 o'clock base now, and using it as a staging area for warp-ins as well. He went for charge before blink because for the first time in the series he didn't get a Twilight first, so I guess that Crimson Court game was just kind of a gimme, but Factory is lifted, which tells you the intent of Clem. Factory kind of stripped out of the whole production cycle. Instead, Ghosts and Vikings and, well, Marauders and Medevacs also added in, and Marines whenever you got the time. But Clem is maxed out, so he's paxing up his Medevacs and sending him across the map. He flew right over an observer, though, at this stage, and the Dark Shrine on the way. The Disruptors and the Dark Shrine, the double Ds of destruction, are coming together, but they're not here yet. Clem slides on over, and the main army from MaxPax intercepting at the bottom of the ramp. Disruptor shot connects the first volley. Second one comes up short. Another one empty. The first shot, though, was enough to stun Clem into retreat, and he drops down 30 supply. Oh my. It was so exciting. Let's see it again. Thank you, Gimme. That's exactly what I was going to say. I wasn't trying to bring up the battle report at all. The Disruptor hits. And Clem forced to retreat as he just doesn't have the army to deal with this. Medevacs over the little quaint little island there. Can't land on that, thankfully, but MaxPax still moving forward. He's still got 3 Colossi. He's whittled down the Viking count to just 4. And another Disruptor shot somehow finds nothing. Those Disruptors, but he's getting into position with them. The most dangerous force field. The Disruptors are driving Clem away, and now the SCVs are starting to pay the price. +2 infantry weapons is completed, but MaxPax trying to target the center of the army, but more Vikings and reinforcements coming down. EMPs across the board. Disruptor shot still coming up short. Vikings on deck immediately get hit by some Disruptors, but the Disruptor is targeted, gets a Cyclone. And MaxPax, though, overextended somewhat, kills 10 SCVs, but SCVs themselves not so important here. Targets down yet another Disruptor, and MaxPax actually down in supply after that fight. We see he lost 6 Disruptors, all the Colossi, and Clem still has all of his bases mining. He's got 3 orbital commands. 3 more command centers are done, with another one just now finishing up. So he's going to have the orbitals and have the army supply. MaxPax may have gone too far. And now it's just gateway units against Marine Marauder, and that's not good enough. Warp Prism hit by a mine, but some charge lots will drag the army back. MaxPax trying to play like the Zerg here, and the Zealotlings are coming across. He has, it's 2-1 to 2-1 on the upgrades. That initial hit was enough to get started on the fight, but Clem pulls it together and now is working his way across the map. It's a dangerous game, chasing Disruptors across the map, but there's one player who's the most adept at playing it, and right now he's bearing down. Disruptor not fighting anything. Another one, fadeaway shot. MaxPax has nearly remaxed out. 3-2 about to complete. DT Blink almost ready to go over the mineral wall. And that may be the last card to play. The DT Blink is something that Clem isn't particularly prepared for. But if he realizes the DTs are there, he can scan, and well, Looks like his card gets turned over and shot to pieces before he can even get started. The Bio Army. The charge lots have quite a difficult working relationship with the Disruptors, considering how effective they are against both Protoss and Terran. And now, Clem. Terran through the base to the 9 o'clock. 16 probes with it. And down goes the Nexus. The momentum still. Oh, and a big recall. How much is he bringing back? A bunch of gateway units, which Clem is not going to be very intimidated by. Realizes this is a fight he can still take. The medevacs are pretty much out of energy now. Eventually, MaxPax will be able to whittle this down, but at what cost? Medevacs get away before the Stalkers are able to blink into position to pick them off. And here comes Clem again. The Disruptors keep him at bay. But are there enough of them? Eats a ghost hit. Another one forced to retreat. And as I exhaust my commentary for ways to say throw it out shots and missing them, Clem continues to move forward. More EMPs. 1 or 2 Disruptors at the ready. MaxPax fighting this war of attrition. Infantry weapons level 3 fires off a shot. That ghost in particular taken out, and the medevacs, actually no units underneath, means a few of them get finished off before they can do much more. The fusion core is completed. Advanced ballistics begins. Because, of course, it's going to be Liberators. The Disruptor count just getting too difficult to wade through. And MaxPax maintains his supply. He's rebuilt the probes. He didn't lose the Nexus past his mineral wall. Though he's certainly not in a comfortable position economically. Clem? He has all these bases, but he's not maxed out. He doesn't have that much in the bank. He's making the transition to more of a Sky Terran army. So MaxPax, recognizing that, going to try to press the issue yet again. Is there a Warp Prism with the army to reinforce? A double drop. Disruptor shot, sidesteps it, but another army at the natural, blunks forward. And DT's blink in the back, counterflanked. The charge lot slicing up the SCVs. 15 probes are dead. DT's chasing landed Vikings of all things. 3 orbitals vulnerable. Down goes a Liberator. The main base is now being targeted. Colossi steps up, Vikings knock it down, but the charge lots are overrunning. Disruptors on the high ground of Clem's own production. Now, force fields might hold the door, but the Disruptors will make sure nothing gets through. Until the Disruptors are actually shot from the low ground by the Marauders. Dangerously close. Does he have recall? Recall is off cooldown, and he may be forced to recall out of Clem's main back to his own. The fusion core is vulnerable. Clem down to 127 supply. Liberators, a lot of that supply is in medevacs. Another Disruptor shot, targeted down. Another one targeted down. Another one he picks up and dodges it. He forces out the recall, and Clem will manage to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge his way through yet another deadly Disruptor dance. And the diabolical Dark Templar do not have enough for a deadly attack. Caduceus reactor finishes. Kind of a key upgrade. Well, actually, no. Not a key upgrade. He has 10 medevacs. He's going to be fine on medevac energy. Though, considering his addiction to stims, I may be speaking too soon. Any other player dies 4 times over to those Disruptors. I am convinced. Maru, Bion. There are other Terrans, I assume. But Clem manages to target the Disruptors that are going to hit and dodge the ones that aren't. The DTs, though, an entire division of them. He's going straight for it. Don't do it! There's a Liberator. There's a mine. He's blinking 1 DT forward. Clem knows about this. He's sprinting back. The DTs will fight, eviscerating a ghost, slipping out of the scan. There's more where that came from, though. More scans than a Costco checkout right now. And another one! Vendaya scan! But the Stalkers are coming in to save what DTs they can. And if at least one gets out, they can come back later in the campaign and tell you you're doing things wrong, while providing no actual help. 3 Disruptors at a time, 3 Liberators in production. which shows you exactly where we're going with this as time goes on. More disruptor shots in the middle of the map. Dodging away again, Clem closing in, but MaxPax has managed to maintain enough of his robo units. A DT on the ground. There's still some DTs he split off throughout this. The battle continues. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to max out yet again, even though the armies are so huge. The worker count keeps dipping. Another scan. There's still 6 orbitals, despite losing several in that counterattack. Another scan. He gets to the corner. Clem's not being stingy. There are 6 disruptors, 20 marauders on the field, 6 liberators. They do have advanced ballistics, but only +1 ship weapons. +2 is when things get extra dicey, as they can two-shot those stalkers. But here come the disruptors. Open field fight. Enough room to dodge away. Picks off another one. But the follow-up shot will clip 1 marauder. Single Viking on the high ground. Liberator's a little out of position for this fight. Another dodge. Finds some marauders. More dodges. He's taken what he could get. That hit actually looks quite good. And 12 SCVs dead because a DT slipped back in. This DT has 16 kills and counting. 17, 18. While Clem's busy dancing with the disruptors, the DT is undercutting the entire economy. Clem eats a big swipe from the Colossi. The Blink Stalker still moving forward. The DT survives all of that and will get out. 25 kills. 170 to 125 supply. Clem isn't dead yet, but he's on his last legs. Thankfully, he's stimmed them. More charge lots going to be whittled down. Another DT, the orbital birds. 28 SCVs dead, and barely more than that left. Vikings back in the air. Liberator fighting with anti-air against Colossi. Disruptor lands a hit. There are more medevacs than marauders underneath. Liberator sieging up at the choke point, and the Venn diagram of freedom will drive the Protoss back for now, but he killed the orbital. MaxPax has double the supply. He's got the Dark Templar. And slowly but surely, Clem's economy is crumbling. He cannot maintain his production. He still has enough army to be surprisingly dangerous. But the income... MaxPax is... He's done it. Clem is dead. As long as he's not able to as long as MaxPax is able to keep this army alive, Clem is dead. He just isn't sure about it yet. Disruptor hits. Now he's pretty sure. 2 Gs. MaxPax 3 to Clem's 2. 120 zealots, 23 Dark Templar, 20 disruptors, and 2 Gs. What a final game that feels like it took longer than the rest of the series combined, but MaxPax battles through and earns an incredibly hard-fought victory in this week's edition of Europe, the finals. I was trying to come up with something more clever than the Climax. The kids' table was still good. I still like that one. I'm going to stick with that one. But hopefully, you'll stick with liking and subscribing because it's still free compared to Patreon or YouTube membership if you've got the means of motivation. If you haven't yet checked out the second channel for streaming and more content from... I hear there's some other games coming up, so you might find them over there. Winter Gaming on YouTube, or find the description as well, if anyone ever reads that. But otherwise, hopefully it made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.